Picture this. You are 30 years old. You have absolutely zero debt. You have $50,000 sitting safely in a high-yield savings account. You have a stable, well-paying job that you have held for the last 5 years. You walk into a leasing office to rent a modest one-bedroom apartment. You are a landlord's absolute dream. You hand over your application. The 22-year-old leasing agent types your name into a glowing screen, waits 3 seconds, grimaces, and tells you that, unfortunately, you are a massive, unacceptable financial liability. They cannot give you the keys. Why? Because you do not have a 3-digit number attached to your soul. Welcome to the American credit score system, a dystopian gamified financial surveillance network that dictates whether you are allowed to participate in modern society. We are constantly told from the time we are teenagers that this 3-digit number, ranging from 300 to 850, is the ultimate, objective metric of your responsibility as an adult human being. But let us strip away the marketing and look at the actual machinery behind this number. First of all, your credit score is not a government program. It is not a public utility designed to keep the economy safe. It is a proprietary algorithm owned and operated by 3 massive private for-profit data brokerage corporations: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You never opted into their system. You never signed a terms of service agreement with them. You cannot opt out. These 3 massive corporate entities simply started vacuuming up your private financial data without your explicit consent, running it through a highly guarded secret mathematical formula and selling that judgment to anyone who asks for it. Banks, landlords, car dealerships, insurance companies, and even potential employers are making life-altering decisions about your character based on a formula you are not legally allowed to see. And what happens when these private corporations catastrophically fail? In 2017, Equifax experienced a massive data breach, leaking the deeply sensitive personal information, including social security numbers, of nearly 150 million Americans, half the country. In a functioning capitalist society, a company that negligent would be sued into the bedrock and cease to exist. But you cannot boycott Equifax because you are not their customer. You are their product. Now, let us look at the most spectacular, mind-bending contradiction of the entire system, the actual rules of the game. How do you get a perfect credit score? You might logically assume that living perfectly within your means, never borrowing a single cent, and paying for everything in cold, hard cash would make you the safest, most responsible financial bet on earth. Wrong. If you do that, the American system literally labels you as credit invisible. To the algorithm, you do not exist. To get a high score, you are fundamentally legally required to go into debt. You have to open credit cards, you have to take out loans, and then you have to play a bizarre psychological game of cat and mouse with the bank. It is called your credit utilization ratio. Let us say a bank gives you a credit card with a $1,000 limit. If you spend $900 on groceries and rent, and then pay the entire bill off in full on time at the end of the month, your credit score will drop. Why? Because you used too much of the credit they specifically gave you. You are mathematically punished for utilizing the tool exactly as intended. And what happens if you finally achieve the ultimate American dream? What happens if you scrimp, save, and finally make that massive, triumphant final payment to completely pay off your student loans or your car note? You would think the system would throw a parade for your financial discipline. Instead, your credit score drops. When you close an account by paying it off, your average age of credit history shrinks, and your available credit drops. You are mathematically penalized for escaping debt. This proves the fundamental, ugly truth of the system. The credit score does not measure your financial stability, it measures your profitability to the banking sector. It measures how reliably you can be milked for interest payments without completely defaulting. You are a pet, and the score is just a measure of how well you walk on a leash. We treat this system as if it was etched onto stone tablets and handed down from a mountaintop at the dawn of civilization, but the modern FICO score was invented in 1989. The Nintendo Game Boy is older than the American credit score. People bought houses, started businesses, and built the entire modern booming post-war economy using actual human judgment and basic math. To see how absurd our system is, you just have to look across the ocean, to Europe. Let's look at a country like the Netherlands. If you walk into a Dutch bank to get a mortgage, the loan officer does not ask a private data broker for a gamified, secret 3-digit score. They use a system called the BKR, which is a national credit register, and it is beautifully, refreshingly boring. It is basically just a ledger of binary facts. It operates on a system of positive and negative registration. The bank asks 2 simple questions. Number 1, do you have a verifiable, stable income? Number 2, do you currently have any massive unpaid debts or a history of defaulting on loans? If you have income and you don't have a history of not paying people back, they do the basic arithmetic. They subtract your fixed living expenses from your monthly income. If the remaining number is big enough to cover the monthly loan payment, you get the money. That is it. It is basic, undeniable math. You do not get bonus points in Europe for having 5 different credit cards open at the same time. In fact, doing that makes you actively less attractive to a European lender because it shows that you are highly leveraged and rely heavily on borrowed money to survive. The European system respects cash. The European system respects living within your means. They look at your actual, current ability to pay, rather than your historical willingness to play a rigged corporate casino game. In the United States, we have allowed private corporations to turn our entire financial existence into a high-stakes arcade game, where the house holds all the cards and the rules change without warning. We are forced to borrow money we do not actually need just to build a completely arbitrary score we do not understand, so we can eventually prove our worth to a bank that views us as nothing more than a data point. It is a system of financial surveillance disguised as a report card. It traps the poor, it confuses the middle class, and it guarantees that the banks never, ever lose their grip on your wallet. I'm Norman, and I am going to go check my credit score, watch it mysteriously drop 4 points for absolutely no reason, and then scream into a pillow.